Let's talk about the second vocal archetype. The second one is known as educator. And when it comes to educator, the goal of educator is inform and provide new insight. That's the goal. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to educate others with educator. Here are a couple of ways that you can tap into educator, things that you can do to help you access educator more easily. The first thing is make sure you become aware of your slower rates of speech. Because here you're teaching people things that are new and potentially complex. And because that's the case, we want to be more conscious of using slower rates of speech, especially when we're talking about things that are complex. Of course, you still vary your rates of speech. However, you really want to be conscious that you've got lots of slower rates of speech, lots of moments where you're using slower rates of speech. More than this, to really drive this home, you want to also increase the number of pauses that you use. And remember, you know this from the foundational section, is that we pause more because we want people to process what we're saying. And again, because this is you informing and providing new insight, we want to have lots of pauses so people are actually absorbing the things we're saying. Next, you also want to have what is known as a matter of fact pitch. A matter of fact pitch. What am I talking about here? A matter of fact pitch is you ending your sentences on a lower pitch. Because when you end on a high pitch, you seem unsure about the things you're talking about. You seem not to have credibility, and you seem also to have less authority. I'll give you an example. Imagine I ended on a higher pitch when I said the following. I've been studying communication skills now for the last 10 years. And when I talk about vocal archetypes, I'm 100% that it's going to help you become more effective. Notice how that came across? This tends to happen in some cultures, particularly in the Australian culture. We fall victim to ending our sentences on a high pitch, and we don't realize what that does to our communication. Now let me give you the same thing, except I'll end on a lower pitch. I've been studying communication skills now for the last 10 years. And when it comes to vocal archetypes, I can tell you that they are extremely effective. Notice the difference? You've got to ensure that when you're engaging in educator archetype, because you are informing and providing new insight and you're educating people, we want to make sure we're ending on a lower pitch. The next thing is you want minimal movement. Don't move around too much. This is why you often find lecturers, they don't move around too much when they speak. Because if I'm moving around too much when I speak and I'm pacing for no bloody reason, what that means is it's a form of visual clutter. And when you're trying to explain something new to someone, and again, if you're explaining something complex, we want to make sure we minimize visual clutter so that it doesn't confuse people. All right. Now, psychologically, I think university lecturer. I think of a university lecturer. And an engaging one, of course, because we all can think back to university and think, oh no, not old mate Barry, because he was bloody boring. So don't think about Barry, the boring lecturer. Think about someone that inspired you during university times and they were engaging as a university lecturer. Let's throw to an example now. I want you to watch this example of this speaker engaging in educator. So here we go. Ready? I'm just going to, new transition time. Ready? 1, 2, boop.
There are 3 principles on which human life flourishes, and they are contradicted by the culture of education under which most teachers have to labour and most students have to endure. The first is this, that human beings are naturally different and diverse. Education under No Child Left Behind is based on not diversity, but conformity.
Oh, that was very difficult trying to do that transition, but again, I'm going to do my best to keep things engaging for you. Now, can you see how that particular speaker, they were engaging in educator? Now, this isn't their default archetype. If you watch this particular speaker, you'll notice that in the video, the whole length of the video, they vary and move between different vocal archetypes. But I hope you can see the example of someone engaging in educator. All right, again, before we jump to the next video, keep thinking, which one is my default archetype? When do I fall victim to a default archetype? Can you see the importance now of being able to move between archetypes? I mean, so far you've only learned 2, but can you see how powerful it is already? Imagine when you learn to use all four. You'll become extremely influential. See you in the next video.